So, speed, distance, and time, all in one PowerPoint, all together. Aren't you lucky? 3 for the price of 1. But you've got a job first of all to do, which is to write down as many units for speed as you can. Any units for speed. I could give examples, but I don't want to give examples. Maybe there's a hint on the right there. You might think about a car. I want you to pause the video and just write down as many different units for speed as you can. Go. Good. Okay, so here's some examples that you could do. Now, with a car, we usually do mph in this country, which would be miles per hour. But I could also have kmph, which would be kilometers per hour, or sometimes people write that as km/h. If we're talking about, say, Usain Bolt's a runner, and we want to know how fast they're going, we'd need different units. We usually use m/s, meters per second. So we've had miles per hour, kilometers per hour, meters per second. We could also have, my mind's gone completely blank. But we could have maybe, if we're talking really fast, maybe kilometers per second. You know, we could be talking things in space. And I'm sure you've come up with lots of other ones as well. But what do they all have in common? And this is how you can tell whether any other examples you've said that I haven't written, whether they're right or not, is they all are distance per time. So miles per hour, that's a measure of distance per a unit of time, hour. Kilometers per hour, you know, distance per time. Meters per second, distance per time. They're all distance per time. And so we sometimes write that as distance, like, you know, in this case, like a fraction, you know, distance over time. And that is actually how we work out speed. It is quite literally distance per time. You know, distance over time. So that line means divide, and that's what you do. Distance divided by time. And that is our fundamental calculation of how we work out speed. And there she is, written at the top there, so that you know, it's always there in case we need it. And we usually put this in a triangle as well. Science like lots of these triangles, don't they? And they probably use speed, distance, time. And it's one that we like. And SDT, that's what we've got, speed, distance, times. Those initials go into your triangle, and you start in the bottom left with S, and then D at the top, and T on the right. So you go around just clockwise, just filling it in, SDT. And then we put a line, and I like to have a little times bit at the bottom, and we can use this to work out the different calculations for either distance, for speed, or for time. We'll come to that in a minute. First of all, let's do some basic speed calculations. What about this one? We've got a car, and it's travelling 195 kilometres, and it does it in 3 hours. What is its average speed? Now, we say average speed because it might have sped up, it might have slowed down. I've only got the total time and the total distance, which is why it's an average speed. Okay, in this case, we've got distance over time. So we put distance on top, which is 195 kilometers, and we've got time, which is 3 hours, and we divide it. That's exactly what we do. We do 195 divided by 3. And that is 65. And what's my units? Well, you use the units that you've got in the question there, or you know, in your calculation. Kilometers over hours. So that's kilometers per hour. So I've put km/h. Use the units in the question. Okay, what about this one then? A cyclist takes 1.5 hours, so 1 hour 30 minutes, to cover a distance of 33 kilometers. What was their average speed? It's the same thing. Speed is distance over time. What's my distance? It's 33 kilometers. But what's my time? I can't put 1.30 because it's not. I need to have it in either hours or minutes. Now I want my speed, I think, to be in, you know, kilometers per hour, which means I need to work out how many hours this is. Well, I happen to know that 30 minutes is half an hour. So this is 1.5 hours, which we can just write in as a decimal as 1.5. 1.5 hours. And we do 33 divided by 1.5. And that tells me that their average speed over that time was 22. And what are my units? They are kilometers and hours, so it's kilometers per hour. Yep, 22. One more then. A bird flies for 45 minutes. Fly, little birdie, fly. And goes a total distance of 27 kilometers. What was the average speed? Easy. In kilometers per hour. Oh, not so easy. Well, we know that if we're working out speed, we need distance over time. So my distance is 27 kilometers. But it says it wants kilometers per hour. That means that I do need to be working in hours. Now, I might know how to write 45 minutes as hours, but if I'm not sure, what I need to do is convert it. And if I'm going from minutes to hours, there are 60 minutes in an hour. I need 60 of them to make 1 hour. So I divide it by 60. And if you think about that, if I had 60 minutes, I divided it by 60, that would give the answer of 1 hour. So it makes sense, yeah? And if I was coming back the other way, I would times, but I don't need to do that at the moment. So let's do my 45 minutes. Let's divide it by 60. And when I do that on the calculator, I find that I've got 3/4. And that makes sense because 45 minutes is 3/4 of an hour, which is 0.75. So you have to make sure that you are working in the correct units. If you need to convert minutes to hours, divide it by 60. Okay, let's do this. 27 divided by 0.75 is 36. And what's my units? They were kilometers, and it was hours, so it's kilometers per hour, just like it asked. Yep, easy enough. There we go then. So remember, if you need to convert the minutes to hours, you need to divide it by 60 because there are 60 minutes in an hour. Otherwise, look out for this. This first one's kilometers per hours. This one's in meters per second, which is convenient because that's what they told you. And the last one, I want you to do it in kilometers per hour. Okay, so you'll need to convert something in there. So press pause. When you've worked them out, unpause the video. We have unpaused. Speed then. Let's do Harvey. What's Harvey's speed? Well, he did 24 kilometers. And how long did he take? 1 hour and 30 minutes. Well, that's the same as 1.5 hours, isn't it? So 1.5 hours. I think it's going to be 16. Let's see. Divided by 1.5. 16. Yeah. So that's not too bad on a bike. 16 kilometers per hour. km/h. Right, dolphin swims 121.5 meters in 9 seconds. What's its average speed? Remember, it's an average because I've only got the total time, total seconds. You might have sped up, slowed down. We can just get the average speed. And I want it in m/s. That means meters per second. So speed. Well, I know what the meters was. That was 121.5 meters. I know what the seconds were. That was 9 seconds. Just put S for seconds. And let's see what we get. 121.5 divided by 9 is 13.5. And we're working in meters and seconds. So it's meters per second. m/s. Just out of interest, whilst we're here, sometimes you might see meters per second written another way. Sometimes it's ms to the power of -1. It's just another way of writing meters per second. Right? Just in case you see that, you know what it means. Right, Julie. Julie's been jogging. She's doing jogging for 8 kilometers and she did it in 45 minutes, which sounds blooming quick to me. But let's see what her speed was. Speed. Right, distance, so 8 kilometers. But I need it in hours because I wanted kilometers per hour. So I've got to change my 45 minutes. So divide it by 60 to turn it into hours, which is 3/4. It's 0.75. Oh, everything's beeping at me. 8 divided by 0.75 is... Oh, a slightly weird answer, isn't it? Wow. It's 10.6 recurring. Well, I'm going to round that to 1 decimal place. I'm going to go 10.7 kilometers per hour. And I'm going to put that was done to 1 decimal place, 1 dp. All right, so I know it was rounded. Fair enough. Well, what if I don't want the speed? What if I already know the speed? So look at this question. How long does it take to travel 100 kilometers at a speed of 80 kilometers per hour? So what I'm working out here is how long. So I need to rearrange my equation of speed, distance, and time. Well, firstly, we know that speed equals distance over time. And actually, you could work it out from looking at the triangle. If I cover up the thing I'm trying to find speed, so I sort of cover it up and ignore it. And I'm left with distance, that line, which means divide, and time, distance over time. And I can do that for the other two as well. This is why the triangle is useful. Now, if I want to work out distance, so let's ignore distance, let's cover it up. What's my calculation? Well, it's speed times by time. Yep, so distance is speed times by time. And then lastly, if I wanted to work out what time was, well, cover it up. I've got distance over speed. So time is distance over speed. Right, which one am I trying to work out? I'm trying to work out how long. That's time. So Timmy time, T, equals distance over speed. Well, my distance was 100 kilometers. And my speed was 80. So I'm going to divide it. 100 divided by 80 is 1.25. Now, what are we talking about? We're talking about time here. So I need to look for the units in my question which are time. And that's there. It's hours, isn't it? So that's 1.25 hours, which is 1 hour. Oh, but what about my minutes? What if I wanted it as minutes? Well, we already know that minutes to hours, sorry about the writing, it is tricky on this pad. I divided it by 60. Now, if I want to come back the other way, if I've already got hours, which is what I've got, 1.25 hours, if I times it by 60, I will get the minutes, right? So 1.25. Now, I already got the 1, that's the hour, that's the whole hours. What I've got here is my minutes of 0.25, that part of an hour. Times it by 60, and you'll find that it's 15. So it's 1 hour, 15 minutes. Okay, so we've got a conversion, either divide by 60 to go to hours or times by 60 to come back. Why do I only do 0.25? Well, I've already taken the whole hour and said, well, that's 1 hour, obviously. It's the 0.25 I needed to work out as minutes. Next one, right, so Alex runs at an average speed of 10 kilometers per hour for 1 hour, 30 minutes. What distance does he run? Well, what's distance? That's speed times by time. So distance, speed, times by time. What's my speed? 10 kilometers. What's my time? 1 hour, 30 minutes. Well, I can't times it by 1-30 or 1.30. I need to know 30 minutes is half an hour. So I times it by 1.5, 1.5. Yeah. So 10 times by 1.5 is 15. But distance, what are my units for distance in my question? Well, there they are, it's kilometers. So he must have run 15 kilometers in that time. Lastly, Emily cycles an average speed of 18 kilometers per hour for 40 minutes. What distance does she cycle? Well, we already know distance. Distance is speed times by time. Easy. But look, we've got minutes here. And this says hours. Kilometers per hour, but it's 40 minutes. I need to change my minutes to be in hours, because otherwise it's not going to work. The units need to match if you're doing a calculation like this. So we'll do 40 divided by 60 is 2/3. Okay, now that's tricky because it's 0.6 recurring, isn't it? Which is a bit tricky to use. So I'm going to leave it as a fraction actually in my calculator. I'm going to leave it as 2/3 in my calculator and get it to do all the hard work. So there's my distance, my speed, 18 kilometers per hour, and times it by my time, which is 2/3 of an hour. That's 2/3 of an hour. Okay, well, 2/3 times by 18, do it in a calculator. I get 12. But distance, what's my units for distance in my question? There we go, kilometers. So that's the one I use. Okay, maybe a bit confusing, but make sure you stick to one of the, the calculations here. Make sure your units match, and if you need to convert the minutes and hours, there it is. So I'll write up the minutes conversion again, in case you want it. So remember, divide by 60 to go to hours, and you times it by 60 to go back to minutes. Okay, right, press pause, work on those 3 questions, and then unpause when you're done. Okay, well done, we're nearly there. Let's just do 3 answers, and then we can get onto the My Maths. If you walk for 1.5 hours at an average speed of 4 miles per hour, how far will you have walked? Well, this is already in hours. That's in miles per hour, so that's all good. How far? Far is distance, isn't it? Now, distance is speed times by time. My speed is 4 miles per hour. My time is 1.5. I times them together, so you should have got, hopefully, 6. But it's distance. What's my units for distance in the question? It's this thing, the M. It's miles. I wouldn't just write M because I think that's a bit confusing. It could be thought of as meters, so make sure you write 6 miles. A coach travels at 15 miles per hour for 20 minutes. How far has it travelled? Well, it's going quite slowly, for starters, but it's going for 20 minutes. 20 minutes. Okay, I need that in hours, I think, so I'm going to change it to hours. So 20 divided by 60 is 0.3 recurring, says my calculator. So I'm going to keep it as the fraction. I'm going to keep it as 1/3 of an hour. The calculator can do all the work, not hours, just hour. Right, so the calculator can do all the hard work there. How far has it travelled again? Well, that's distance again. So distance equals speed times time. My distance, my speed, is 15 miles per hour. And my time, again, use the fractions. Nice and accurate then. Your calculator is going to do all the work for 1/3 of an hour. And that will be 5. What though? It's far, so it's distance. What's the units for distance here? It's that. It's the miles, isn't it? So 5 miles should be the answer for that one. Right, a car is travelling at 50 miles per hour. How long would it take to travel 12.5 miles? How long? In this case, we're talking time. Talking Timmy time, which is distance divided by speed. What's my distance? 12.5 miles. Let's hope my speed matches. Miles per hour. Good, because we've got miles in the speed, miles for the distance. It's all good. And let's divide it by 50. Oh, it's a quarter. 0.25. What's my units here for time? Well, there we go. There it is. H for hours. Well, we could leave it like that, but that's a bit awkward, isn't it? Let's turn it into minutes. Let's convert our 0.25 hours into minutes by timesing it by 60. Hours to minutes times by 60, and it is 15. So it's 15 minutes. 0.25 hours, but 15 minutes. All right. Well done if you got that. Okay. On to the My Maths then. Log in, have a go. Most of these hopefully will be fairly straightforward. So that miles and hours, miles per hour, meters, seconds, meters per second, and so on. This one, look, kilometers per hour and 15 minutes. So you'll need to change that to hours. So times that by 60 to see what that is as hours. And just make sure that your units match. Okay. Right. All the best. Good luck.